Hello friend, how is it going? Welcome back to Toyota Maintenance YouTube channel. In this video I would like to discuss pricing of Toyota OEM parts. If you watch my videos, you know I try to use Toyota parts as much as possible here at my shop. However, from financial reasons, it's not always possible. These engine oil filters obviously are totally affordable. It's a great price for those. So this is just two oil changes I did today. There's no question about those. But I just did this week front struts on 2013 Toyota Highlander, and you may be surprised how expensive those struts could be if you buy it from Toyota. But let's go together first to look on those failed struts. And I went outside to our recycling bin and I grabbed a generic example of the strut. So strut has many parts, and basically it's the shock and also the coil spring. This is not even Toyota. And because I have started filming this video, the scrap people actually showed up and they are emptying that scrap metal bin. So we will have to wait with this project. So I had a time to prepare this little presentation for you. These are the replaced parts, 2013 Highlander, both front struts. Can you tell from right here which one failed? What was the reason? Which one was the reason for replacement? So I'm sure you know, but for those who you don't know, the major cause for replacement will be that the shock leaked out. How do you know it leaked out? Well, on the bottom it's all wet and it's full of oil. If you look at this one, it's completely oily. This one was in the same conditions just on the passenger side, and as you can see, it's dry. Also observe the shock is fully extended. This one lost almost all the oil, so it will not stay up. Let's see if I grab it. You can listen. I hear the fluid inside, but it's all, it's flowing there and it's basically falling down. There's also another problem here. It's a little bit of rubber which was sucked inside from that dust cover. These are the remainings of the dust covers which were there on this vehicle. I have replaced those with brand new parts. But right here, as the vehicle keeps driving up and down many times, that rubber is being caught as the shock goes up and down. It's being caught right here, and it can also create problems or damage. So these are pain. So in this case, in this Highlander, the leakage and the failure to work was the reason for replacement. When I grabbed the vehicle on the driver's side and tried to rock the front, it was just bumping up and down. The whole vehicle was jumping, bouncing up and down. It will not stop because this shock failed. And that Highlander, 2013 Highlander, had over 200,000 miles. So there's no way you will just replace the faulty one on the driver's side and leave the one on the passenger side. It's clear, correct practice. You have to replace both struts. Before I will forget to mention this, when you will call Toyota, they might have a new unexperienced person in the parts department, and you will tell them, hey, I have a 2013 Highlander, here is my VIN number, how much are the struts? And exactly what happened in this case, the person took him a while, then he called supervisor, then he found it, and then he told me, yeah, each strut, they're like a couple bucks different, they have different ordering number, but they are approximately 170 bucks. And you can have them in one day. Of course, I told him, is it the whole assembly? Because it's too cheap. Even aftermarket struts, when they are complete for 2013 Highlander, are roughly 300 bucks each. So I said, hey, go and check. This cannot be. It's only the shock, correct? He said, no, it's the whole thing. It says right here, strut. So, of course, that was only price for this, I will call it shock. I know they say strut, but this is only the part which is for stopping the movement. So I will still call this shock. Now these are from 2013 Highlander. If you have Tacoma, this is also OEM shock, which was part of the strut. Again, that coil, everything is missing from here. Here the dust shield, it's actually perfect, there's no problem. It was protecting correctly. These were replaced for different reason. These bushings on the bottom, then unfortunately they collapse, they fail. And you have that horrible scraping sound when one side of this part starts rubbing on the frame of the vehicle. So anytime you turn your wheels or go over the bump, it's make as you go over the bumps. So that's a different shock which was part of the strut, like these ones. Just you can see the receiving area here is way smaller than here because the coil is way more narrow, and it's from Tacoma. And I will probably name this video discussing prices of these items, and that the OEM could be very expensive. Some of you in the comments always say, no Peter, you cannot use the aftermarket stuff, it has to be Toyota. I will only do Toyota on my own. So these strut shocks, as you see them, they are approximately 170 plus tax from Toyota and 170 plus tax aftermarket. The entire unit complete aftermarket, it's approximately 300. Toyota doesn't sell the whole unit for fixed price. You have to basically build it yourself. You have to get all the missing components which you see here, and you have to build it yourself, and the price is becoming astronomical that way. I will use the Toyota parts sheet, we'll put it on the screen, and we will go through the pricing. So on the bottom you see the part numbers 3, which is the suspension strut, and we said that's approximately 170 bucks. And that's the part I showed you. Then on number 4, it's the lower spring insulator, and that's $55. Then you have the coil spring, and in most cases, there's no reason to replace that coil spring number 5, and that's $145. Then you have strut bumper, which many times it's rotten. It should be replaced too, that's $22. Then it's that dust cover I showed you completely fell apart. That's a $35. And then you have another rubber seat, they call it upper seat. That's a number 8 for $45. And that's the top, very important, that strut mount, number 9, which includes the bearing, which is kind of shown underneath it, and that's $125. So I did the math for you. when you put all these prices, all these parts together, you are on $600 for one strut before tax. Here in California, that will add another 60 and let's say $50, 650 plus 650. You have in the parts already $1,300 to replace front struts on 2013 Highlander. If you will go with aftermarket, you will have each of them 300 approximately, which is 600. That's a big difference. Now comes the biggest problem. These aftermarket units for $300, they are already together. If you will pay shop to replace the whole unit, the labor will be relatively small amount because it's entire assembly and it's ready. You are ready to take this out. It goes in recycling and you put the aftermarket unit in. When you want to go OEM Toyota way, it's not coming to you assembled. You have to put it together yourself. Even if you save money on not replacing the coil, which I never saw broken unless the vehicle was in the accident. The coils are fine. Even after so many years, they are perfectly working. There's a lot of labor to rebuild, to put it all together, these parts. It's astronomical. You can imagine to do all of this, it's extra labor. The parts are very expensive. So I wanted bringing it up to you in the case you will go to your local place and they will tell you, hey, you need front struts. You want a Toyota? And you will say, yeah, I want. And they will say, let's say, example, well, that will cost you $1,500. And you might say they are trying to scam you or something. The parts itself, as we just discussed, if you will replace also the coil, was $1,300. Let's say 150, it was 145 each, so it will be 150. Get $300 off. Even if you do the coil and everything is replaced, it's still $1,000, and somebody has to take it apart and put it back together. So it can cost arm and leg. It's shocking, but that's the way it is. In this case, if you want to have an OEM, it costs pretty penny. For that reason, when I discovered this problem on my customer's Highlander, I first, when I was doing that oil change, I very carefully evaluated all these parts, and then I ordered only some of those and replaced those. I didn't save only the coils, obviously. I saved 2 more parts, I believe. The bottom, this receiver, the rubber part, which is, in my opinion, heavily overpriced, and the upper receiver, they were good, so I reused them. I just cleaned them nicely, reused them. The dust protector, the stop, they were all bad. The top mount were obviously also worn. It's an old vehicle, so I had to replace those, but I tried my best to keep the price reasonable. So I wanted to share this with you. Not always is a good idea to preach OEM only. Sometimes the aftermarket parts can be good too, and the repair will be way cheaper. But in this case, I also did the OEM for these customers. They agree about it. They wanted to have Toyota parts. It just costed them a little bit more, but I had to be careful and selective what was replaced and what wasn't. I hope you enjoyed this video. you find it helpful, entertaining, interesting. If you did, please give it a thumb up. Be subscribed, have notifications on so you don't miss future videos. Thank you for watching and have a great day, my friend.